Cool. All right, so I'm Crazen. I have 5 years in Minecraft content creation. I actually started during COVID. I making mods, that is. I was tired of wandering like mod packs and finding structures without integration, and so I kind of set out to change this. I learned Java specifically to make Minecraft mods back then, and since then I've made 6 mods. And there's more in development, 38 plus million downloads. And actually, even before I started making mods, I made Crazy Craft Reloaded. This is just kind of a mediocre pack that was quite generic, to be honest. And um, I kind of put this here to show that I have grown a lot as a creator, and just that I've learned a lot since making Crazy Craft, and to now integrate an MC. So yeah. So integrated Minecraft is my current mod pack. It was originally designed to be the official mod pack for my mods and evolved from there. It has over 800,000 downloads, and I work with a team of 3 other developers. So that's kind of my background. And well, I'll just start with how to start a mod pack. So basically, my biggest tip here is to do something new. There are so many Vanilla Plus and Kitchen Sink mod packs. You want to carve out your own niche. That's the only way that you'll actually attract like new players. Um, I would come up with some kind of aspect that you want to focus on. Like in integrated Minecraft, I focus on highlighting my mods and content unlocked through exploration. So we have like secret recipes and stories that you find within structures that lead you to the powerful items in the game, rather than just crafting recipes being all transparent. So I would definitely come up with something that sets your pack apart. People aren't going to want to play something that's been done over and over and over. Another tip I have for this is just release it. It does not have to be 100% done. I've run into a lot of mod pack developers who have a pack in development for oftentimes even like months to years, and they are trying to get it 100% done. You want to just release it. Um, and you can add big content updates. Obviously, you want like some finished product, but you want to be able to get feedback from players and to grow a player base as you're developing the pack. Integrated Minecraft is not even close to done. So yeah. And then next we have, how do you make a team? So you want developers who share your vision and offer unique skills. You want them to be, these are kind of obvious, but it's still very important. You want to be driven by creating something good for players, not clout or money. Do not micromanage them. Yeah, you want them to have basically creative control, essentially. You want them to be able to feel like they're creating something. It's obviously not a job. This is not a job, and you want them to be inspired and motivated. Yeah, so don't micromanage. Share the split of the pack with them monetarily, and have occasional meetings. So in integrated Minecraft specifically, I have one developer on my team that's in charge of making quests. One that is that does a lot with like integrating structures and changing structures. And yeah, so each update we make a plan and divide out responsibilities. Yeah. Organization. So you want to keep track of mod suggestions, future update plans, the to-do list, and your current mod list. So a program I would highly recommend, it's a website, I guess, is Notion. So but all of these screenshots are from Notion. So on the top right, we have our change log with the to-do list for a specific update. Below that, we have this mod suggestion list. So this is a list that we keep track of mods that we are considering adding in the future, and what updates are going to be added, and are each of the developers' thoughts on the mod. So like you can see over here, it says Crazen, I dislike this, I'm neutral on this, and I like this, and we can kind of see our overall opinion on the mod really easily. For like it has been an absolutely amazing tool. One of the other developers set up this Notion, and I would highly recommend using this. So yeah, and then on the left here, we're keeping track of our current mod list, what category the mod is, so you don't forget what mods do. I mean, when you have 300 mods in a pack, you can forget what stuff does. The update that the mod was added in, and if it's a mod or a resource pack, etc. I actually don't have a GitHub for integrated Minecraft. I wanted to make it. Honestly, it's just kind of a pain. But yes, you should do it, and I really need to. That's also really helpful to make a GitHub for developing it. How do you pick mods? So I have, I think, a kind of unique philosophy about this. Basically, you want to be really, really picky because it's very easy to just add things and add tons of bloat and redundancy and just make an incoherent pack essentially. So these are some questions I ask myself when I try to add a new mod. Does this add something new to the pack? Is this something players actually want or need? And does it conflict with the intended experience of the pack? So the first question, I kind of break the rule. I have sometimes. So sometimes redundancy can be okay if it's for different kinds of players. So what I mean by this is in integrated Minecraft, I kind of have to give an example to explain this. There's this in Ars Novea Magic Mod, there is a like storage terminal system. And to progress to that point, you have to get through magic and learn all this magic. But not every player is going to want to learn this complex magic mod. So we had to add Tom's Simple Storage, a different storage mod that has kind of the same functionality, but it uses create to make it. So like you have to keep it in mind for what types of players are going to actually be using it. And if the answer is different types of players are using it, sometimes redundancy is okay. But yeah, definitely try to avoid bloat. Like if you think this mod is not going to impact that many players and like it adds tons of blocks, please don't add it. To be honest, MC Creator mods. So this has been a huge somewhat recent development in Minecraft modding is that there's all these MC Creator mods popping up, and some of them are good. They're basically mods made without Java knowledge, and they tend to have a lot of useless items. Structures, loot tables, and items are way, way harder to edit. A lot of stuff is less data driven. They tend to be not open source. I had to recode all the structures for Born in Chaos and Inter RPG, just so they wouldn't like overlap, and they were using like command blocks to spawn in structures. Basically, you can use these, but I would be very wary and use them at your own risk. So, performance, one of the hardest things to balance in making a mod pack. Honestly, I would recommend finding someone with performance mod expertise. This is not me, so don't ask me to performance mod questions. Basically, what I've learned is you want to avoid adding too many mods that have a huge performance impact. So, some examples I have of this on the right are Alex's Mobs, Ice and Fire, and Alex's Caves. Incredible mods. They are not very lag or performance friendly. Be very wary of this. They are kind of hold back integrated MC from being used on lower end systems. I think it's worth it just because of how amazing these mods are, but you do have to keep that in mind. Mods that add a lot of entities eat up ticks per second and frames, and mods that add a lot of blocks eat the RAM and they make it longer to load in the game. So it's kind of a standard to use Spark to test performance on server and client using Spark reports. Do that. It's worth it. All right, removing items. So I use CubeJS and Item Obliterator to remove redundant content. I would normally just use CubeJS because you can get rid of recipes, you can hide items. That should be all you need, you would think, except it doesn't get rid of villager trades and the loot tables, which actually can be hard coded. Like, for example, Better End has a loot table injection into End City chests that adds a bunch of items I disabled, and that is completely hard coded. So I had to have Item Obliterator. Basically, what Item Obliterator does is um, once the items spawn in the chest, it checks and then deletes them after they spawn in. That's the only way that it works. But basically, my philosophy is that the less items you have, the better, which is kind of counterintuitive because you want to make a mod pack with tons of content for players to explore, but useless items are not what they want. Um, yeah, you want to just delete as many items as you can, to be honest. Um, which is, I feel like I haven't met that many mod pack developers who agree with that, but that might be a hot take. But I just feel like it cleans up inventories, it gets rid of unnecessary complexity. There's a function in CubeJS that you can just replace all instances where this has an input with this other item. So like, let's say you want to replace all redstone dust in recipes with gunpowder. You can do that with CubeJS. It makes replacing items and disabling items really easy. An example for integrated Minecraft is Arcane Crystals from Forbidden Arcanus and Arcane Essence from Iron Spells and Spells. Basically, it doesn't matter what they are. It's basically two magic dust. And just remove one of them and pick one and run with it and replace the other one with it. You don't want two items that even if the items don't look the same or not obtained the same way, like one's an ore and one's dropped from mobs, it doesn't matter. It fills the same purpose. Remove one of them and replace it. It makes the game more cohesive and it adds less bloat and just gets rid of crafting time and useless storage. And yeah, I think this is very important. So yeah, this brings us to recipes. Um, Integration. You want integration. Integrated Minecraft has 1,000+ custom recipes. So the way that these build up so fast is like we eliminate similar recipe types. So for example, there's a cauldron from Hexerai and there's a crucible from Eidolon, two magic mods. Basically, they both add fancy magic cauldrons. We just got rid of them entirely and moved all recipes from that one to the other one. Um, and this isn't like that big of a change and doesn't affect the players that much, but I just think it makes the pack feel more cohesive and more like a complete experience and rather than like cobbled together. And you want to use modding crafting mechanisms wherever you can. Like if you have custom fleshing recipes, make all your arrows use it. Why wouldn't you? For like huge items that are late game, lock them behind mechanical crafting. You want to avoid making recipes too complex unless you're going for an expert pack. That's kind of the exception. You don't want players spending too much time crafting. I have watched so many YouTube playthroughs and streams where the player spends over half the video in their base crafting. And I'm just like, how is this what we want our players to be doing so much of? Like, I just think this is wild that this happens. I would say no more than 5 steps within a crafting recipe, not 5 different items, just 5 steps. Like make this to make this to make this. After that, it's just my goodness. So yeah, I would incorporate items from other mods whenever you can to balance complexity, while keeping in mind balancing complexity. Like I've definitely made recipes have too much integration and it just made them overly complex. So there's definitely a balance you want to keep in mind there. For quests, Feed the Beast quest is amazing. Uh, it adds so much extra content for players. I My biggest thing here is I would avoid hand holding. Like, let's say you have to craft this furnace to make this other upgraded furnace. Like, unless it's a huge part of the pack, just don't make that quest. You want to make quests that add extra content. It's a great opportunity to explain complex systems. Like, if there's a fancy magic forge where you have to right click with this and build a multi-block structure, make that a quest. But, like, regular crafting, if they can just look in JEI, don't make it a quest. So yeah, it is a great opportunity for storytelling. On the right here, here's an example from Integrated Minecraft. We basically have a task where you can trade specific foods for desert loot, and we kind of wrote about a merchant who is trading this with you. It's a great opportunity for storytelling. I would also highly recommend making quests to find maps to structures rather than just throwing in structure locator mod or something like that. This is way more immersive and I think just more fun in general. It serves the same purpose, but it's like you're kind of trading with villagers to get these maps rather than you have this magic compass that finds every structure, which I think is kind of boring. Um, you have to keep in mind, not all players will utilize your quests. I've had so many players that are like, oh, I didn't even know there was a quest book, even though we spent countless hours making it, right? And it's just you have to keep this in mind. You want your pack to be playable without the quests, unless you like really are quest focused pack. Yeah, you want to direct players toward content they might otherwise miss. So here's an example in Integrated Minecraft. There's this boss codex where players can keep track of what bosses they've defeated, and it gives hints on where to find them with some storytelling involved as well. So another thing I would recommend doing quests for is collections. Like collect all these unique swords, collect every pet, collect all these um I don't know. Collections. They're fun. They add some end game content. Players like collecting things. That's kind of a slam dunk for quests. Data packs. So data packs are very important for making a mod pack. You want to be able to know data pack structure like the back of your hand. And not that frankly it's not difficult, but you should be able to edit tags, loot tables, biome modifiers, biome tags. Like this is very important. On the middle here, this is from Integrated Minecraft. This is like half the number of data packs we've made for the mod. And you can easily look on GitHub to see if something is data driven and easily edited. And you just follow the path structure from there, make it in your own. This is Cube.js data. I would just do it in Cube.js. One piece of technical advice I have, this might be confusing to players who aren't familiar with structures, but for the ones who know, this is very important. Combine all your structure sets. So a lot of mods have like their own separate structure sets, like IDOS, my mod, and integrated villages. They have different structure sets. And this basically is how often you're going to spawn a structure from the set. Combine them all, not all of them. Like you want to have certain ones that are different rarities, but I would combine as many as possible because it prevents overlapping and it prevents structures being too close together or too far apart. And yeah, so I would just like go through every mod that adds structures, wipe the structure set, and make your own, essentially. To integrate structures, you can edit the structure NBT files directly by spotting them in using the command structures mod. So here on the right is an example from it. This is the wrong command, but you would type spawn pieces, and then you can spawn the pieces. It spawns them all out for you, easily editable. Integrate your structures too. It's essential for making good Modpack. All right, custom mods. Now this is definitely optional, but I would package content, custom content you make as mods for other packs to use. So an example of this is integrated Cataclysm. I integrated Create and other stuff into all the Cataclysm dungeons. I originally was just going to make this for integrated Minecraft. I wasn't even going to make a custom mod, but I was like, other packs are going to want to use this, so why wouldn't you? So essentially, this is plus for you because you get a mod that has downloads, and other packs can use it, and they don't have to go through the process of this, and they can use your hard work. So I would package custom content as custom mods when it works. Don't overdo it. Like I only have integrated Cataclysm and integrated Simply Swords, which adds like swords variants for modded armors and stuff, or modded materials. Sorry. Yeah, I would. There's no reason not to. It's a benefit for you and other mod pack creators. Beta testing. So there will always be bugs. There's no avoiding it. Before large updates, if you have a player base, you want to test. And what I do is I put out a public beta on my Discord. I basically just send the link to my Discord and be like, hey, here's a beta for this update. Please try it out. I would really appreciate it. There's going to be bugs. And like, for example, last update, I tested and I somehow never found out that hostile mobs didn't spawn. This is why you do a beta. For some reason, some config corrupted or something, and hostile mobs never spawned at all. So we found that out in the beta and fixed it before doing an actual release on CurseForge. So because of this, I've learned to do this. I personally test every update, but I can't do everything. I test that quests are working, hostile mobs are spawning, worlds don't corrupt, custom recipes work, and servers are functioning properly. But yeah, okay. Fixing bugs. So I would highly, highly recommend using an IDE or an integrated development environment to edit your Modpack files. This is a huge benefit, and you don't need to know coding or Java to know how to use an IDE. It's basically just a way of looking at files. As I use it for Modpack development, that is, and editing JSONs. It allows you to search and replace through your entire pack. Let's say you remove a mod and you replace it with a different mod. You can replace all instances of one item with another item. You can find items. You can easily access your file history, which I find incredibly useful. Let's say you changed a bunch of stuff. You load up the game, your worlds are corrupting. Something's gone wrong. You can easily access everything you've changed in your file history. Like it'll show all the different things that you changed and you can go back and see it. You cannot do this if you're just using File Explorer. I would highly recommend doing this. Mixins are another way. So mixins are more for custom content. They can be used to fix bugs, but mixins are something that you need to know Java for. I would at least find someone who knows how to do mixins if you don't know how, or learn yourself. For an example of a mixin is it's basically stuff that's not data driven that you have to code in Java to change. So I added this boss, the Night Lich from Bosses of Mass Destruction to this Ice and Fire dungeon. Okay. So these dread mobs here pictured attack literally anything. And they would attack the boss that I put in there, which was bad, and they would just fight each other and kill each other. And so I added a mix into their code where they won't attack it if it's that boss entity ID. That's an example of a mix-in that fixes a huge issue. Like this structure wouldn't be possible to have that boss in without it. And contact mod developers of mix-ins you're writing for. They'll help you out. Yeah. removing mods. So I would never remove a mod that will break people's worlds entirely. This seems kind of obvious, but basically, I want to warn you about Better End and Better Nether. If you include them, you can never remove them ever. They will corrupt your everyone's worlds if you do. Recently, we considered removing Better Nether, and yeah, we can't. So keep that in mind. Removing, oops, sorry. Removing smaller mods that you now feel are bloat or in conflict with the pack is totally fine though. Like pictured on the right, I removed Enderman Overhaul. It lagged out the game and added tons of entities. This is fine. It got some backlash because players like this mod. Understandably, it adds great entities, but try not to do this too often. Um, yeah, but really, you want to cut down performance, and if you think players aren't utilizing a mod or it's not worth the performance hit, you can remove mods later, and I would recommend doing so. Okay, so feedback. I love doing surveys and polls about features in the pack. I'm like, how do you feel about this mod being added? How would you feel about this mod being removed? Stuff like that. Um, so I would highly, highly recommend doing polls and surveys. This was a poll about the future of the pack, and yeah, we did a boss update after this. So, there. One thing to keep in mind is the loud minority. There will always be a few players that complain constantly about specific things. Let's say you have like 3 storage mods, but you don't have refined storage. This is no offense to the people that complain. I get it. You care about the pack. I realize they're probably listening, but there will always be a few players that complain constantly. That does not mean they're indicative of the pack as a whole actually having a problem. It could just be a few players. You want to get data, do concrete polls and surveys, get actual data that shows that this is a problem. An example of this is Ars Novea balancing. So the Ars Novea is a magic mod that is basically overpowered, um, and it leads to a lot of exploits. So I pushed it back from early game to mid game, and there was no magic you could do early game in integrated Minecraft. And I realized that I really screwed up by doing this. You have to not lose sight of who your player base is and who your target audience is. If your target audience is just gonna use some magic to fight some bosses and explore, which is what it is for integrated Minecraft, then I don't see any reason why you should like cater to stopping all these exploits and making nothing overpowered because you don't want to take things away from the player by doing that, the average player. You have to keep in sight your average player. Yeah. Okay, so updates. I would say just avoid updating too often. It can be annoying for servers. That's really the only thing. There's an exception for game-breaking bugs. Like if you have a game-breaking bug, fix it ASAP. Like, yeah. I try to get an update done for fixing bugs by the next Saturday because then CurseForge approves it Saturday overnight for me. So yeah, they approve Sunday through Thursday, 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. U.S. Central. So you got to convert that to your time zone. I think it's somewhere. It's on this Discord, but yeah, I would just say avoid updating too often, just because it's a pain for servers. But yeah, you want to fix your bugs. And then lastly, monetization. You have to keep in mind this is not a priority. Partner with a server hosting company. Most of your income from Modpacks will be people using your code for servers. You can reach out to them if you want. I've seen that happen, and they will accept a lot of the times. I am partnered with Bisect. I get free main menu designs, free banner designs, free logo designs. And just a reminder at the end, you can't sell content. I don't want you getting sued. So yeah, you can't sell content. Um, and yeah, that is basically all I've got to say. My email is crazylandlord@gmail.com. I'm crazylandlord on Discord. Feel free to reach out about whatever. So yeah,